I do believe ChatGPT may have failed us. Artificial intelligence may have ruined my pizza. Hi everyone and welcome to another episode of T-Shirt Cooking. My name is Matthew. Let's get right to it. Straight to the ingredients, we'll need refined white sugar, a jar of crushed tomatoes, olive oil, all-purpose flour, instant yeast, salt, oregano, onion powder, garlic powder, shredded mozzarella cheese. We start by getting a large stainless steel bowl and begin by adding the 2.5 cups of flour, followed by 1 teaspoon of sugar, 1 teaspoon of salt, whoops, that's too much, the small packet of active yeast, and 1 cup of lukewarm water. We give it a mix until it's solid enough that it allows you to mix by hand, and then we add 2 tablespoons of olive oil and mix it again. Make sure to wash your hands regularly. The dough ball should look something like this. We then powder a flat surface with flour to prevent sticking, and we do what's called kneading the dough for 5 or so minutes. According to artificial intelligence, we must pivot, fold, and press. We pivot and fold with our fingertips, and we press with our palms. Repeat for 5 minutes. My form here isn't great, but my built-in excuse is that I have a dislocated right shoulder at the time of filming, so I'm allowed to not do this properly. Whilst performing the kneading process, my suspicions surrounding the resulting outcome of this pizza began to grow at an increasingly rapid rate. Once done, we get our large pan which has been cleaned and dried and apply a film of oil and place the ball of dough inside. We make sure to cover the top completely with a blanket and it should look something like this. Now something else I want to mention really quick while this dough is sitting is that we're only letting it sit for about 1 hour. You could also let it sit longer, and if you let it sit all day, I believe it could also get fluffier. At the same time, it could be I don't really know what I'm talking about, so we'll see the results, and worst case scenario, we make another video and we could test out a 1 hour, a 2 hour, and a 12-hour dough. To be honest, I don't even know if this video is going to be published because so far I've made a mess and this is taking me forever to make. While the dough rested, I cleaned the kitchen and iced my shoulder, and the 1 hour passed relatively quickly. We take out the dough, powder the surface again with flour, and use our palm to spread it into some sort of a circle. We continue by rolling out the dough, making sure it's uniform in thickness all around. My shoulder was really starting to hurt at this point, and my severely insufficient culinary skill set was being put on full display. And as you can see, all hope was eventually lost, and I'm left with this geometrically unidentifiable shaped pizza dough. Next up, I added the sauce and began to spread it around evenly and close to the edges. Afterwards, I added 100 grams of the shredded mozzarella, and then decided to give the pizza a look of disappointment for about a minute or so. We drizzle some of the olive oil on top and set the oven to 425 for 15 minutes. I should have probably looked into this earlier, but this cheese expired a long time ago. Extra flavor. Alright guys, we finally reached the time of tasting. Thank you all for still being here. Now I see here that there's still a lot of air in the pizza that I sort of poked while it was cooking. I assume this is because maybe I didn't let the dough raise enough. I could be wrong, I'm gonna have to look into that. So the AI only gave me instructions on how to make the pizza. It didn't give me any tips or tricks, and perhaps that's my fault for not putting in the prompt. If I put in the prompt for tips and tricks, perhaps maybe it could have helped me make this pizza. In terms of the shape, this looks nothing like a circular pizza, so I'm just going to say that this pizza identifies as rustic. You know, back in the day, they didn't have protractors, so they couldn't really tell if this was like circular, or perhaps this was closer to a circle than what we know a circle is today. Right now, all I'm trying to do is just justify the fact that this is definitely not a circle. There's no 360 degrees here. Okay, so I cut a slice here already. We're going to take a bite and see what it's all about. So one thing I will say is, although this is not a thin crust, which is what I wanted to do, I will say that it did cook nicely in the middle. I don't know if that's because of my oven or maybe because of the recipe of the dough. I'm not really sure. Something else I did notice as well is it's definitely very salty. I don't know if it's maybe like the cheese, the dough, or the sauce. Maybe earlier when I put in too much salt, that could have been it. I feel this would be good as a dip, sort of like cut pieces here, and I would like dip them in something maybe, and I would just like dip and I would eat it like that. Honestly, look, I say it's a failure. It's really not as much of a failure as perhaps my other episodes, which were all successes. It is what it is. You can't always win. What can I say? I dared to be great and make a homemade pizza with zero cooking knowledge, zero culinary skills. At the end of the day, you can't always get what you want. Instead, you should want what you have. And to some extent, that may sound like settling, but look, I'm settling for this right now, but I will be back. We'll be back better with more knowledge, with more expertise, and we'll get it done. This pizza may have not came out the way I wanted it to, but there are worse things in life. I mean, you know, there's paper straws. That's horrible. By the way, if any of you here who are my subscribers who intentionally choose paper straws over plastic and or metal straws, and you like sucking on that sort of like soggy, moist straw, just unsubscribe, please stop. We don't need you. You're probably vegan anyways. You know, it's not that bad. The crust came out really nice. It actually cooked very well. The crust came out very nice. It's super uneven because I didn't roll it out properly. I've never had to roll out a pizza before, but it did cook nicely and it does have flavor. So once again, it is what it is. You win some, you lose some. Guys, thank you for still being here. I know it's a failure. It is what it is. I'm gonna say it 10, 15 times. My next video, I promise, is going to be a success and I'll make it up to you all. As always, thank you all for sticking around. Stay tuned for more to come.